everybody, come on in. We're going to talk about the debate. We just had a watch party, hung out and watched the debate. I thought we would discuss it a little bit. We didn't do a daily burn earlier, and I feel empty inside. So I feel we need to do a little bit of a debate wrap-up show, daily burn, and focus on the positive takes from a debate that was clearly set up to sabotage Bernie Sanders. They're trying all they can to kneecap our boy, but he did a great job. I wish he'd have been more aggressive in the second half, in the second hour, getting his point across, but Bernie did a fantastic job under fire and under pressure and handled it a lot better than I thought he would. I didn't really expect what happened. Zachary says clearly. It was clear that they were there to attack him. The first hour, they came out heavy in attack mode against Bernie. It was very obvious. And as Shelley says, he did do great. I like I said, my only thing I would mention is I wish he'd have been more aggressive in the second hour. In the first hour, he did a really good job of aggressively defending against the attacks. But it was attack after attack. And a lot of them were coming from Pete Buttigieg, who I've been screaming since the beginning is a big threat. I think Pete Buttigieg is a huge danger and something we need to be worried about. He is a master at propaganda. You know, that's the kind of things that they did at McKinsey & Company where he worked. You know, this place where he released his client list, which, yeah, I'm absolutely positive that the client list that he released is all on the up and up. And there's nothing to be seen there, of course. Don't look in that direction, because I'm sure that everything he did at McKinsey, even though McKinsey has a reputation for being an evil corporation, I'm sure it was all on the up and up. But he got a lot of focus. Klobuchar, it seemed like they gave her more focus than she wanted. By the end of the debate, this is one of my other main takeaways of the debate tonight. By the end of the debate, I felt like Klobuchar is going to drop out at any time. I thought she might drop out during the debate, just start crying and leave the stage. I was waiting for it to happen. She was taking so many attacks as well in the last hour and really only kind of diverted attention from Bernie. That's what the last hour was all about, keeping Bernie from talking. Because I think Bernie did really well in the attack hour, and they changed strategies. Elizabeth Warren, though, in our watch party at least, a big takeaway from the debate was that Elizabeth Warren seemed to have done very well. But I thought her performance was a little bit suspicious. And what I mean is, it seemed like she was fed answers, fed debate questions. I thought her performance was a little... Well, I mean, that needed to be said twice. It's going to be said again. I'm trying to share this, and my phone is on the other side of the room. So if you guys could help me share it out. There's just a few people I wanted to invite that were at the watch party, but I had to bring it up to do that, so I'm going to invite them. But Steve's here. Thanks for coming, Steve. I see that you're here. Elizabeth Warren, her answers seem to be too well rehearsed. I got the same vibe about Pete Buttigieg at the last debate. Another takeaway from the debate would have been Bloomberg, his voice. I cannot believe that is Mike Bloomberg's voice. I don't know what I expected. I really couldn't tell you what I expected him to sound like, but it wasn't that. I can't see anybody voting for that voice. But I am going to do something I don't usually do on the Daily Burn and smoke a cigarette, because that debate frustrated the hell out of me. Like I said, I think Bernie did really well. I think Bernie handled it very well as he can. but we've got a lot of work to do because they are. Did you see the whole section that was just a big propaganda hit piece and misinformation about Medicare for all? I wished I could jump through the screen. Ginger, I invited Ginger. She had said that at the watch party. I wish I could jump through the screen. There were times where it was so hard. I wanted to. It makes me mad. I thought that Bernie did a really good job though in under the search six situation. Ugh. See, I can't even talk straight. I'm gonna go ahead and break this barrier down. Shelley says Bernie held his own. I was happy. Pete went to Princeton. He's friends with Bezos. Pete's heavily influenced or heavily supported by oligarchs. He has not the most anymore. I think Biden or Biden, I think, now has that title. I don't know about Bloomberg. I don't know much about Bloomberg. I need to learn more about him though, because I started the watch party at 7:30, so we watched about a half hour of pregame, and it was all about Bloomberg. And they kept focusing on Bloomberg like he's this big deal, and he's been in the race for a very short period of time. So I've had a friend of mine keep telling me that I need to be worried about Bloomberg, that Bloomberg is the real threat. I think he's right. I'm starting to think so because the media is at least doing all they can to push that Bloomberg is a real threat and that try to convince people at least that Bloomberg has real support. But I thought he did awful in the debate, and the voice coming out of his mouth doesn't match his body. I don't know what I expected it to sound like. I shouldn't say that; it's mean. But Zachary says I don't think anyone would vote for Pete either. I don't think Pete could win his own state. I really don't. I really don't think Pete would win his own state if he ran for re-election as mayor. Even he couldn't win it as governor. He lost as governor. I don't think he'd carry it in the election. And Zachary said Chuck Todd really needs a beatdown. Chuck Todd makes me angry as well. But at least he's just a sleazy slimeball journalist. So that kind of makes sense. You expect it from him. But and I guess that it should bother me just as much as Pete. Pete bothers me more though, because I really believe Pete is a CIA plant, an establishment plant, planted by the CIA. I think there's heavy evidence for that. But there's definitely evidence that Pete has a background in propaganda and misinformation, and he is very good at it. And it scares me when they start misinforming people about Medicare for all and about these policies and these things that we're trying to do. And they kept hitting Bernie with how much it's going to cost and this missing $25 trillion. And he looked very confused by it. It seemed like complete misdirection. Their math is off. I don't know what's wrong with it. I have to look into it, but I know that Medicare for all is a cheaper system. It's morally right, and it's the cheaper, more financially sound way to go. And they fail to mention all of the things that it eliminates and only focus on the bad. And I'm sure that something's way off with their math. But he looked very confused by the missing money they kept talking about in his plan. And they kept cutting him off and not letting him explain it. But Zachary says Warren was kind of savage tonight. She really was. But I felt like she seemed very prepared. That's something I felt like Bloomberg should have bought. You know, he's buying this election. He should have bought himself a debate coach because he did a horrible job. And that whole section, when they caught him up on the non-disclosure agreements, that was terrible for him. That should be campaign ending. Well, let's see if the media even focuses in on that, because that was a horrible moment in the debate for Mike Bloomberg, and something that he should have been ready for. He needed to be prepared for at least. You know, a quick Google search absolutely destroys Mike Bloomberg. So someone should have coached him. He didn't seem like he was ready for that, seemed completely caught off guard by it, had no idea how to react to it. I thought Bloomberg did horrible in the debate. So it's going to be interesting to me how the media spins that and what their take on it is. Zachary says him cutting Sanders off was something he should be fired for. Yeah, he's very unprofessional. Josh says, behold the iceberg. Now, I know you're kidding around, but tell me seriously, how do you think Bloomberg did? For real. You said you wanted to see him debate, and we saw him debate tonight. I thought he got tore up from the floor up. I think he really did a horrible job. I don't think he made a good case for himself at all. Now, I'm curious how the media will spin it. I'm curious what they'll say and how they'll say it went. But I thought that Bloomberg did awful. I really did. And I almost said something about his voice again. I got to learn to be a better person, to rise above, and not take the easy bait. But that voice doesn't look like right coming out of his pocket. Zachary says that Sanders was the only candidate that thinks the person with the most votes should win. Yeah, they glossed right over that. Did you see that? They asked every candidate if, if no one gets the 1990 delegates for the nomination, do you support, what do you support? Do you support the person with the most delegates getting the nomination or the committee making a decision? Every one of them said that they supported the committee making a decision. Bernie was the only one that felt like the people's votes should matter, because that's what they're going to do, is they're going to nickel and dime us on delegates, and they're going to try to keep Bernie under 1990. That's all they need to do, is keep Bernie from getting 1990 delegates. And then they can pull shenanigans. They can pull super delegate shenanigans. They can do their backroom shit. That's what we can't allow to happen. So we have to make sure that we overwhelm them at every one of these voting opportunities, every primary, every caucus, every chance we get to flex. We need to make sure that we overwhelm them so that they can't steal these delegates, because that's what they're going to do, is pull the delegates. That's why they all feel that way, because they're going to stay in the race. Even though I joked that Klobuchar would drop out, she'll stay just to pull delegates. They just need to pull enough delegates away from Bernie so that he doesn't get 1990. That's their strategy. That's what they intend to do. And that's why that was kind of a loaded question, but at least they laid it out there for everyone. So you can see that even Pete Buttigieg, who claims to believe that the popular vote should be the way that elections are decided, has changed his mind and shown that now twice with Iowa, and now that he believes that the committee should make their decision if no one gets to 1990. So we just need to make sure that Sanders gets to 1990. We're going to have to win this by more than 50%. Zachary says, is he paying you, or who? Who is paying me? Chuck Todd or Bernie? No one's paying me. Yet, I hope to do this one day professionally. We do have a YouTube channel and other shows. Me on Things and Stuff, by the way. We're streaming there as well right now. But let me know what your takeaways were from the debate. And Josh, if you're still here, what'd you think of Bloomberg? Josh says horrible undisclosure stuff, okay on the rest, and had a couple zingers. Anyone else would be done, but he has millions to spend. He has billions to spend. He intends to spend $1 billion. You thought he did good on the rest, though. Was I just so thrown by his voice that I didn't hear what he was saying? I felt like he did awful every time he was called upon and given an opportunity to speak. It felt like he did really bad to me. But I don't know. I could have been very thrown by the voice. To me, the voice loses him a huge percentage of the vote. I don't know about any of this pandering and the black vote, Hispanic vote, and any of that, and how much it'll lose, but it's going to lose him a lot of the people that are bothered by weird voices vote. Huge percentage of us are not going to vote for anybody that talks like that. But let's see. I agree. I agree that he has millions to spend. He spends $1 million a day, isn't it? Okay on the rest. Yeah, stress the okay. I agree. Okay needs to be heavily stressed there because I didn't think he did very good, but I thought Bernie did a good job, and with the opportunities he was given to speak and the conditions, because like I said, the first hour felt like an attack against Bernie, and the second hour seemed like the agenda was to silence him. Steve says if Bernie wins California and no one else gets 15%, Bernie would get all 451 delegates. So we need to overwhelm California and win very big there. We need to do that at every given opportunity coming up in all of these primaries and caucuses. And the next opportunity is Nevada here on Saturday. So Josh says Warren did the best in my opinion, mostly because she was the least attacked and she was in full attack mode. She was too, wasn't she? She had her tomahawk out tonight. She was scalping everybody. That was amazing. But I still feel like she was fed and coached and prepared. Not by her coaches, but by the network. And I do believe they do that stuff because it's proven that they do. So I know I'm crazy for believing that stuff, and I'm the conspiracy theory guy. And by the way, I didn't do conspiracy theories and chill tonight because of the Democratic debate, and I just didn't feel like competing with it. But I think we're going to air tomorrow because I did manage to get a video done on the new video editor. So ended up doing it on Denver International Airport. I needed something that I had kind of already um, explored and knew my way around because I did not know my way around the video editor. But I just wanted to get on and talk about the debate and do a wrap up with you guys for a little while. But thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you tomorrow at the regular time for another episode of the Daily Bern. But thanks for watching the debate and hanging out to the watch party with me, and then hanging out at this little wrap up. And let me know in the comments what you thought of the debate. And I'll see you tomorrow at 7 for the next episode of the Daily Bern.